Hey everyone, welcome back. We are going to take a look at how to put together our self-identity mapping. So before we get started with our drawing, the first thing you're going to want to do is to answer the questions on the previous page, self-identity mapping page. So there were 5 questions. I'll run through them very quickly. 1, what 3 words would you choose to best describe yourself? 2, why do those words accurately describe you? Give an example. 3, what 3 words would your family or friends use to describe you? Ask people you live with. And then 4, how accurate are other people's descriptions of you? Be honest. And 5, what 3 words do you want to describe yourself 10 years from now? Okay, so I went ahead, as you can see here, I answered the questions. So for the first one, I said funny, caring, and obviously artistic. I am the art teacher here at Bria Middle. 2, as a way of these words accurately describe me, obviously because I'm an art teacher. Usually has a corny joke or two, and I obviously love and care for my wife, Kayla. I asked my wife, as well as my parents, what 3 words they would use to describe me. They said funny, mischievous, and warm. And I think it's pretty accurate because, as I said, I like to be a jokester. I like to tease people and pull pranks, but not in like a mean way, and just kind of like busting chops kind of way. With the people I'm close with, again, it's never to be mean. It's always done with love and warmth. And then 3 words that I would use to describe myself in 10 years would be accomplished. Hopefully I'll be a dad by that time. And something I'm working on, working towards is building a higher level of patience, both with myself and with people around me. So that's just kind of something that I'm working towards. Okay, so we have our list here. Again, you should have all filled out the questions because the questions are used now to plan for your drawing. Okay. So let's get started. Now we talked a lot about traditional maps and maps being able to kind of get you from one place to another. This map is a little bit different in that you're mapping out using symbols and illustrations, mapping out your self-identity, the way that you see yourself. Okay, and one thing that you noticed I had mentioned in the do now as my example was that I've been wearing a beard now for the better part of a decade, and I kind of forget what my face looks like because I haven't shaved in so long. But my beard has now become a big part of my identity, or the way that people look at me or know me or that sort of thing. So that's a big part of my identity. So I think what I want to try and do for my self-identity map is to use my beard as kind of like the base, and then add all of these questions that I answered, find ways to make illustrations, drawings, so on, symbols, to represent those things inside of the beard. So the beard itself is going to be the thing that holds the map together. So let's go ahead. Again, you should have some simple materials, markers, colored pencils, really anything that you have. Start it in pencil. Again, starting in pencil will just kind of help down the line if you need to make any edits, and you won't need to restart. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with my beard. Okay, I'm drawing fairly largely. And for this drawing, again, I'm going to be moving pretty quick, and you should be too. Don't feel like you need these kind of accurate, perfect drawings. Again, we're kind of expanding our idea of what a map can do, and again, right, we're not following like a traditional map. We can think about this more as a composition. Again, a composition nonetheless that is trying to convey meaning and meaning through the use of symbols to best explain our identities to people. So again, I have my beard here. Okay, quick outline. Okay, I'm not going to draw my face. I'm just going to leave the beard as is. And this, and like I said, this is going to be kind of the basis. So let's jump into the first question. Okay, and it was three things that, rather three words that would describe that you would use to describe yourself. So I said funny, caring, and artistic. I'm going to start first with artistic. All right, I think that's the easiest one. So how can I represent this idea of being artistic? I'm just going to go ahead. I got a whole bunch of art materials here, so I'm just going to use that as a way to kind of build and add to my drawing. So I'm just going to have kind of like these markers kind of sticking out of my beard, kind of funny. That kind of works too for this idea of funny, right? Like we can have kind of like a silly drawing to this. All right, so I got these markers. Let's go ahead and put a pencil as well. Again, I'm moving very, very quick. I'm not worried about accuracy. Just kind of moving quick through the drawing, getting out my ideas. All right, so I got my beard. Let's put a paintbrush as well coming through here. So I got that. So I have these symbols now that are representing this idea of like being artistic, this idea of creating. So that idea. All right, so I got these art materials kind of poking in and sticking into my beard. All right. So this idea of funny now. Maybe I could just, how can I do this idea of funny? I'm trying to think. Well, maybe I could just do like a big kind of goofy smile in my in the mouth where my mustache and my chin are in this space in here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do like I'm gonna do a big exaggerated smile. Right. I like to make people laugh. I also like to have people make me laugh with silly jokes and observations and that sort of a thing. So I'm just kind of putting in this really big, ridiculous smile, kind of like a Joker smile. Okay, there we go. Got my smile here. It's kind of going past my mustache, but again, it's not for accuracy. We're acting like artists right now, so we get a lot of leeway in terms of what we're making and how to make it. Right? That's really the greatest part, or my favorite part of art. If you can argue your work and argue the decisions that you make in a work, you can never be wrong. And I'm really kind of interested in that idea, right, of kind of building artworks that communicate information. Okay, so I got a funny, artistic. Let's move on to caring. Caring is going to be a little bit different. How do I visualize this idea of caring? Let's see. I mean, when I think about caring, I think about my wife a lot. And actually, yesterday, October, well, I'm recording this now on the 15th of October, but yesterday was actually our wedding anniversary. This time last year, we were in New Orleans celebrating. It's one of our favorite places, and I actually got her a gift when we were down there, this little piece of jewelry to celebrate our anniversary. So I think I'm going to use that piece of jewelry as a way to show or represent this idea of caring for my wife. And again, I'm just going to kind of like jump in here, Again, we're putting together this composition, and I'm just trying to find a way to kind of incorporate all these kind of different ideas, right? So I bought her this little chain, and then it had a little piece of jewelry hanging off of it. It kind of reminded me of the sun when I saw it in the jewelry store. You can kind of see it right now. It's just like a simple circle, and it has a stone in the center, a very small stone right in the center. Little edge, and then it kind of looked, it was like it had these like sunbeams coming out of it, these little lines. So that's what I'm going to use to represent this idea of caring. It also kind of reminds me a lot of being in New Orleans. If you don't know me, New Orleans is probably one of my most favorite cities outside of New York. I've been down there quite often over the last few years. Okay, so let's go ahead and speed this up. So, again, I'm an art teacher. We already kind of covered that. Usually as a corny joke, so going back to this idea of funny, why don't I just like put in like an ear of corn, right? This idea of being corny or having corny jokes. I'm just gonna go ahead and find a spot to put in this ear of corn. I think it's kind of silly and funny, and as we're kind of putting this together, you can kind of see the composition starting to take shape, right? Kind of this strange, surreal picture. Is it a face? Is it there's these other elements, so on and so forth. So just kind of quickly going through, get those ears of corn happening.
Okay, so there's a lot of guessing, which is
Right, so
concerning.
I got my
because we
ear
have the
of
dots
corn.
there already. So we should know.
Some more kernels in there.
P stands for parentheses, E for exponents,
Okay.
and
All right, going back to my list. Love and care of my wife. So I've already kind of covered this with her gift from last year from our anniversary. And then moving down to the third question, right? We've already kind of covered funny. Let's look at mischievous, right? Now, I was explaining, just to be clear, right? When I say mischievous, I don't mean to be mean towards others or to ridicule others or to pull mean pranks on people. It's more of like a ribbing of close family and friends joking around, that sort of a thing. So how can I represent this idea of being mischievous, right? I kind of think like Dennis the Menace, if you're familiar with that cartoon or show or movie. What if I were to do like kind of like some silly like devil horns kind of coming off my corn here? All right, represent that idea of like being mischievous, kind of like a little mischievous.
729.
All right, so moving along, we got mischievous. We got this idea of warmth, right? So I'm just gonna, the easiest way to kind of represent this idea of warmth, I'm just gonna go ahead and put in like a few hearts.
729.
Right? Again, as you notice, I'm drawing very lightly so that I can kind of like quickly go back in and make some edits. All right, so I got this. So it's almost like a face is starting to form, which I kind of find interesting. I'm going to add in a little bit more detail here. Add in some teeth in the mouth, kind of strange, goofy-looking teeth, kind of cartoonish, which is absolutely fine to be kind of working in that style.
What follows the E in PEMDAS?
Right, so we got a little bit more detail in there. Moving along. All right, so yeah, this is pretty accurate. The description that people were giving of me, this idea of pulling pranks, people I'm close with, ribbing, kind of joking around with people. And then the last parts, we got the first, second, third, fourth question done, and then lastly, the fifth question, looking into the future 3 words that I would want to use to describe myself down the line in 10 years. So I said accomplished. Being a father is super important to me. I hope to be a dad soon. And then this idea of being patient. So let's go ahead. Let's start with accomplished. So what kind of symbol can I use to represent this idea of being accomplished, right? And for some reason, I'm thinking of like a trophy. Right? Like when you win something, like in a sporting event or anything like that, people receive trophies. So actually, what if I were to take this whole composition that I have and essentially just make it a trophy? So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of put like a little podium here. I'm sure you guys have seen trophies before. They have that little kind of hard marble bottom. They usually have some kind of little plaque on it saying what the award is for what accomplishment it's for. So also too, like I think like a trophy cup, they usually have like those handles on the side. Now look at that. As I'm kind of putting this together, it's like I have like these ears. They're not ears, right? They're the handles of the trophy, but they can kind of represent too. They kind of line up with where I'm putting them in terms of ears. All right, so there you go. Got accomplished. Now let's move to this idea of like being a dad. Okay, so I mean, we could just kind of like put in a quick drawing of the baby. That's kind of boring though. I don't know that I want to put that in just yet. What about like a maybe like a baby bottle? That might work. What if I were to use the top of my corn instead of just like drawing like a bottle kind of in there? I mean, what if I just use like the top of it as like the nipple of the bottle, right? So it's kind of weird, kind of strange, and as you've kind of noticed, right, like I'm not just kind of drawing one thing at a time. I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of combine all of these things into one composition, right? So I got the baby bottle top as kind of representing this idea of being the father, and then this idea of patience, right? And I think for me, this is something that I'm even working on as a 38-year-old, trying to be more patient with myself and with others, and I think a lot. Something that has to do a lot with this idea of patience is this idea of like balance in your life, and having balance between work and school, or family and friends, right? And when I think about it, I know we've discussed symbols before. I think a lot about the yin yang symbol, which really kind of represents this idea of balance between things. So I'm just going to go ahead and where can I find a spot? Maybe just put it right in the chin here. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of quickly put in the yin yang symbol. Again, you should be also using symbols and other sorts of illustrations. All right, so there we go. So we have our composition, and I'm just going to take a few minutes to kind of quickly start to color in parts of the drawing here. So again, I'm moving super quick. Okay. Coloring around stuff. Really, any materials that you have will work for this. Also, want to try and be accurate. I have a little red hair in my beard, so I want to kind of hint at that a little bit. Alright, so I got my beard happening here. My little hair is kind of using the tip of the marker to kind of get a thinner line, get a little bit more detail on the edge of the beard. I have a pretty kind of unkempt beard, if you haven't noticed. Alright, so again, I'm moving super quick. I'm not really like thinking, I'm just kind of letting the colors and thinking about the colors and just letting it kind of guide the self-identity map that I'm creating here. Alright. Here. Alright. Go back to that orange. A little bit of that orange. And through the beard as well. Alright. Okay. And I'm just gonna keep adding color here. Again, just like super quick. So on and so forth. If you are a person who likes to kind of put like a permanent marker line around your pencil drawing, that's fine. You could do that too. I'll probably wind up doing that later on after the video is done. I just want to quickly kind of model this for you. Here's my ear of corn, representing my corny teacher jokes. All right, I'm gonna jump over to the permanent marker and get some outlines on a few things just now that I'm getting some more color down. So, got my big smile, goofy smile here.
Yes, I have exponents. I have two specific powers. So I'm
All right, big goofy smile coming through. And I actually kind of like the way the dark line works on top of the pencil line. I think I'll wind up making that decision a little bit later to do it for the rest of the picture.
What is 2 times 2?
Okay, got the blackout, so I might as well just jump in and do the yin yang symbol while I'm here.
So now I have
Okay.
4 over -10.
Again, just kind of like moving quickly. Don't worry about having a perfect picture. That's not what we're worried about. Really, the most important thing is that you are using symbols, using illustrations to talk about your self-identity. So again, just kind of move quickly. Alright. And get some color in that corn. The corn's still in its ear. Alright. Back over, let's go back into this idea of caring and warmth. These hearts, right? It's almost kind of like the hearts kind of like making up my eyes here, which is kind of interesting. Right now that kind of mapped out, these ideas. Go ahead and put in some more detail. Alright, I got my pencil here. Got my paintbrush. Materials rolling all over the place here. There we go. So I got my paintbrush. I'm gonna do a big black magic marker here.
-0. And now I'm gonna
Go around my hearts a little.
1.
Change up the color.
So when I have a positive and a
Do
negative
this
number and I'm adding,
marker.
I'm going to move
There.
in the direction of
Alright, and then just kind of lastly, I'm gonna jump in with the red for my devil horns here. This devil horns, I'm not even gonna color them in. I think just leaving them like that is kind of neat. Got the baby bottle top here. And then lastly, let me just kind of go, I'm actually going to switch it up. I'm going to use some colored pencil for the gold necklace I bought for my wife a year ago. Again, we were in New Orleans. Show this idea of caring, this idea of loving, kind of a special gift for a special person on our anniversary. Okay. Back in with some other colored pencils, and it's okay to kind of mix your materials. We've talked about that if you've been in class with me, this idea of mixed mediums, right? Taking more than one medium, so markers, and in this case, colored pencils, right? And again, as you've noticed, I've not used one word, all symbols, all illustrations to kind of show, this idea of my own identity and the way I see myself. Right? Okay. So again, this is just kind of like a brief kind of walkthrough of our self-identity map. I'm going to work a little bit more on this moving forward, but I hope that this was helpful. And again, you have a lot of free reign, right? There's no one correct way to do this. And really, no one's going to know your identity better than you, right? So, really think, like, how can I represent my identity in an illustration? We're calling this a map. Again, it's not a traditional sort of map, but a map nonetheless, because it discusses and kind of lays out different aspects of who I am and who I identify to be. So I hope that this was helpful. Again, if you have any sort of issues or questions that you want to ask, you could always just drop me a line. Again, have fun, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.